In the dark chill of November 2022, the serene college town of Moscow, Idaho, became the scene of a chilling crime that gripped the nation. Once a peaceful haven, the quiet was shattered by the brutal murder of 4 University of Idaho students. This essay dives into the depths of this tragedy, exploring the events, the investigation, and the societal impact of the Moscow murders. Moscow, Idaho epitomized small-town America with its quiet streets and a strong sense of community. Home to the University of Idaho, it was a place where everyone seemed to know each other, and incidents of violence were notably rare. This tranquility made the brutal murders of Kaylee Goncalves, Madison Mogen, Zana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin all the more shocking. These students were not just victims, they were integral threads in the fabric of Moscow, cherished for their vibrant spirits and dreams. The town's serene image was irrevocably altered that November. The ripple effects of grief and fear touched every corner of the community, raising poignant questions about safety and the nature of evil in seemingly peaceful places. On a cold November morning, the unimaginable news broke. 4 young lives had been horrifically cut short. The 911 call that reported the crime painted a grim scene, propelling the town of Moscow into the national spotlight. The house where the students lived became a stark symbol of the tragedy, cordoned off with police tape as investigators worked tirelessly to uncover what had happened. This was more than a crime scene. It was a place where futures were supposed to unfold, not end. The community's heartache was palpable, as students, parents, and residents grappled with the reality of the violent intrusion into their lives. In the wake of the tragedy, a task force including local police, the FBI, and Idaho State Police was assembled. Led by Chief James Fry, the team faced the daunting task of piecing together a seemingly senseless act of violence. The early stages of the investigation were fraught with difficulties: a lack of witnesses, the sheer brutality of the crime, and the pressure to provide answers to a frightened community. Each clue uncovered, from surveillance footage to forensic evidence, was a step towards understanding the horrific event, but also a stark reminder of the young lives lost. Bryan Kohberger, a PhD student with a background in criminology, emerged as a key suspect. His academic focus on criminal behavior, ironically, made him a figure of intense scrutiny. Initial leads pointed to Kohberger after investigators traced his movements and found inconsistencies with his alibi. This discovery was pivotal, steering the direction of the investigation towards examining his life and motives. The evidence, including digital data from his devices, began to form a coherent but disturbing picture of the suspect, suggesting premeditation and a possible obsession with the victims. Kohberger's psychological profile became a major focus. Was he driven by a deep-seated pathology, or was it an impulsive act of violence? His academic pursuits in criminology were scrutinized for potential motives. However, the complexity of his character posed significant challenges. Insights from criminal psychologists suggested that Kohberger might have been living a double life, struggling with darker impulses beneath a veneer of academic curiosity. His interactions with peers and professors were dissected, looking for signs of the turmoil that might have led to such brutal actions. Digital evidence played a crucial role in the investigation. Kohberger's phone records and online activity provided a digital footprint that investigators used to place him at the crime scene. This aspect of the case highlighted the growing importance of technology in solving modern crimes, where digital shadows can often tell a more truthful story than any alibi. The analysis of this data was meticulous, as tech experts worked alongside detectives to map out Kohberger's movements and communications around the time of the murders. The impact of the murders rippled through Moscow, affecting every resident. The university campus became a site of memorials, with students and faculty coming together to mourn and remember the victims. The sense of security that had defined the town was shattered, replaced by a pervasive sense of vulnerability. Local businesses and community leaders stepped up, organizing vigils and support groups. The tragedy sparked conversations about mental health, security, and the way forward for a community in mourning. The media's role in the Moscow murders was double-edged. While it brought national attention to the case, ensuring a swift response from law enforcement, it also posed challenges. The coverage sometimes bordered on sensationalism, impacting the community and the families of the victims. Ethical debates arose about the balance between public interest and respecting the grief of those directly affected. Discussions ensued on the responsibility of the media in reporting such sensitive issues, with calls for a more thoughtful approach to coverage of violent crimes. As the case moved to court, the legal proceedings were meticulously followed by the public and media alike. Kohberger faced several charges, and each court appearance was a reminder of the legal complexities involved in such a high-profile case. The proceedings were not just about proving guilt, but also about understanding the why behind the crime, which remained elusive. Legal experts and the public alike watched closely, as the case could set precedents for how similar cases are handled in the future. Further insights into Kohberger's psychology were sought to unravel the motive behind his alleged actions. Experts debated on various aspects of his personality, with some suggesting that his academic interests in criminology might have been a way to mask deeper psychological issues. This part of the investigation was crucial, as it attempted to provide answers not just for the sake of legal proceedings, but to offer some closure to the bereaved families by making sense of the senseless. Kohberger's academic life came under scrutiny as investigators tried to determine if his studies influenced his alleged actions. His environment, the pressures of academia, and his interactions at university were examined for potential triggers or influences that could have led to the tragedy. This raised broader questions about the intersection of academic studies and real-world behavior, particularly in fields related to psychology and criminology. In response to the murders, discussions on preventive measures became paramount. The university reviewed its security protocols, while the community engaged in dialogues on how to enhance safety. The tragedy became a catalyst for change, with a focus on better emergency responses and more robust mental health support systems. The role of community vigilance was emphasized, alongside the importance of cooperation between residents and law enforcement to prevent future tragedies. Reflecting on the Moscow murders, the essay reiterates the profound impact of the tragedy on the community and the complexities involved in solving such a case. It highlights the resilience of Moscow's residents and the importance of collective healing and memory in overcoming the shadows of such dark events. The case also underscores the ongoing challenges in criminal justice, from investigative techniques to the psychological profiling of suspects. Looking to the future, the essay speculates on advances in crime prevention and community safety. It discusses the potential for integrating more sophisticated technological tools in law enforcement and the importance of community engagement in maintaining public safety. The conclusion offers a hopeful outlook on the lessons learned from the tragedy, emphasizing the strength found in unity and the enduring spirit of a community determined to reclaim its peace and security.